Hey dude, ready for the pre-release?
I'm ready! Magic the Gathering. Hi, my name is Danny, I'm from Board Game Sanctuary, and this is my good friend Pete.
Hi, I like playing Magic. Today we're going to give you 5 tips to build a strong, competitive pre-release deck. So what exactly is a pre-release, Danny?
Well, pre-release is an event that your local store holds. So it's like a little tournament, but it's mainly for casual players, which allows you to open and play and build with the latest cards from the newest Magic the Gathering set, 1 week before their official release. How exciting!
Pretty excited. Yes. When you turn up at your local game store and register for your pre-release, you'll receive this pre-release pack. Inside this pack, you get a plethora of exciting items.
Do you get chocolate?
I wish you got chocolate. That'd be pretty cool.
I could go for some mint chocolate right now. It looks pretty minty.
When you get inside your box, you'll receive 6 boosters from the latest set. You'll receive a promo card, which is foil, and it will have the date of your pre-release stamped on that card.
That makes it extra special.
Sure does. And you'll get a countdown life dice with a symbol of the set on there.
So Pete, what is a sealed format?
Well,
this box is sealed, by the way.
it is sealed. This one's open. That one's sealed. A sealed format is where you receive a sealed pool of cards, and what you have to do is you have to build a deck out of those cards. Usually...
I'm pretty good with a set of tools, you know.
Yeah, nice. Usually, you have to build a 40 card deck. You wouldn't really have any more than that, and 40 cards is the minimum.
Also in your deck, you also need to have about 16 to 18 lands. They can be either basic lands, dual lands, or things that help you to get and build your rich mana base to help your deck actually work.
The other 23 cards or so in the deck should be your combination of creatures, enchantments, instant sorceries, artifacts, etc. Usually, you should be creature heavy.
It's really important to note that when you build your deck, you can only use the cards that you open in the 6 boosters that come in your pre-release box. You can't use cards from anywhere else. The only exception is the basic lands. Your store should have a pool of basic lands that you should be able to use and to help you to build your 40 card deck. All other cards should come from the pre-release pack.
They usually make you return the lands though.
Oh.
When I'm opening the 6 boosters that I get in the pre-release, the first thing I do is go straight to the rare at the back, just to see if I've gotten a bomb. This is a pretty good bomb, so I'll be putting it up here. Then, after I take that out, I go through and I make piles of each of the colours. Our first tip for playing a pre-release is identify your win condition. Know how you're going to finish your game.
I win all the time.
Not against me.
Oh, the secret's out.
So, how to find a win condition? First step, look for your bombs. A bomb is a card that's going to change the game in a really significant way and put the power in your hands. Usually look at your rares, those cards, or the mythics, the mythic rares. They're usually going to give you those really game-changing moves. It might be a big fat 6/6 flyer that your opponent can't do anything about, and you're just going to fly over the top and kill them and win that way. It could be a really powerful enchantment that's going to control your opponent. You're just trying to find those big, rarer cards that are going to win you that game.
So basically what you're saying, Pete, is a card that has maximum impact on your opponent, that will be difficult to defend against,
Yep.
and that will leave a long-lasting impact on their gameplay as well as your gameplay, and hopefully win you each game.
Absolutely. Once you find those bombs, you can sort of form your deck around them. So if you've got a really big black rare bomb that you want to use, you want to try and find other things in that colour that are going to support that bomb. It depends on your playstyle as well. If you're going to be playing an aggro-aggressive deck, you want lots of little creatures down low on the ground where you can get into your opponent fast and quickly, kill them early. Or you might be playing more of a controlling deck, where you're controlling your opponent more with spells like instants and sorceries, and then prolonging the game until you have a big threat later on. You might want to play ramp, where you're ramping up your mana curve as quickly as possible to get your really big bomb cards.
Has that got anything to do with skateboarding?
It could.
I love skateboarding. No, I actually don't skateboard at all.
I actually do a little bit.
Pete's actually a really good skateboarder.
I'm a good Magic player.
I'm a Magic player too, yeah. That's a bomb. Tip number 2 is the idea that you need to have a lot of creatures in your deck. By having a lot of creatures to play, you'll be able to build up a strong defense and a strong attack from game to game. It's really important to pick a color that supports a lot of creatures so that you'll have things to work with. It's important that creatures have evasive abilities like Fly, Menace, Intimidate, Trample. And these are really good because they'll help you to get over your opponent's first line of defense, especially in combat. Those creatures are really, really good because it helps you to support your win condition and helps you to get that inch over your opponent who's obviously trying to crush you.
So what I would do is, after making all of those colour piles, I might just quickly go through each colour pile, check which creatures I have, check to see if there are a lot of creatures in that colour and if I can use that colour. You're usually not going to be making a monocolour deck. It's usually going to be 2 or more colours. You will not have enough from 6 boosters to support just a single colour deck.
So when would I splash a third colour?
I always splash a third colour if I have 2 colours that are really strong with the creature base, and then I have a rare that's a bomb in another colour that the creatures for that colour from the bomb don't really support it. I might splash a third colour to include that bomb in my 2 colour deck.
Making that bomb card playable and incorporated into your whole deck strategy and your win condition.
But I usually would try and stick to 2 colours. Our third tip for your pre-release is all about mana curve. Mana curve is the rate at which you're able to play cards with your lands. You want to be playing a land a turn, and you also want to be trying to at least play a spell a turn. As you can see here, we have chosen from the pool of our deck 23 of the strongest cards that we believe mesh together well. We've also set it out to show our curve. You can see here that we only have 1 or 2 1-drops because you don't want to draw a 1-drop in the late game. Quite a few 2-drops and 3-drops. In fact, the majority of our deck is in the 2 and 3 slot. A few 4s, and then we've got a few 5+s right up to 7. The reason you don't have too many 7-drops at the top or 5+ drops at the top is just so your opponent, you don't have an opening hand of multiple 5-drops and that you can't cast until turn 5. You splashed a colour. The majority colours are white and green, but we have one card here that splashes into red. Now we've put that in because this is a really powerful card within this deck, and you might be thinking, oh, where are you going to get that mountain from? Well, we might put in 1 or 2 mountains into our mana base, but also we've got a couple of ways like this New Horizons that also might help us get that mountain if we end up drawing this card here.
So having the right balance of cards in your deck is really important, and sometimes practicing with your deck, if you've got a little bit of time before, the preparatory time has ended, that's really important to just quickly see what sort of cards you're going to get and whether your curve is quite right. Any more drops and you'll need to call a plumber. Tip number 4, other than the creatures that you have in your deck, you need to have quite a few cards in there that have removal. And that means cards that destroy the opponent's creatures or planeswalkers or target permanents, things that help to exile your opponent's cards or creatures, things that force your opponent to sacrifice things. That clears the field so that you can bring your creatures forward and leave your opponent quite vulnerable.
It's also really good to have a removal card. If your opponent plays a really strong, powerful bomb card that's going to change the game and end it for you, if you've got an answer for that with a removal card, that's perfect.
The tribe has spoken.
Our 5th tip on how to do well at your next pre-release is sideboarding. Your sideboard is every card that you receive in your pre-release pack that is not being played in your deck. You're going to be playing a variety of opponents on the day.
What? You're not going to be just playing me?
And between each of those matchups, you'll play best of 3. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to sideboard before your first game with each opponent. However, after the first game, you can sideboard as many cards as you like. When and why would you sideboard? Surely you're playing the best 23 cards in your deck already. Well, you would sideboard to cater towards benefiting you against your opponent. And you might have a card like Demystify in your sideboard, which is 1 to cast, destroy target enchantment at instant speed. This is going to be a really powerful card against an opponent who's playing a lot of enchantments. However, you wouldn't put this in your main deck for game 1 because the person you're versing might not have any enchantments at all. Just remember, your sideboard has to be from your pre-release pack. You can't sneakily have cards from outside of the pre-release that you sideboard into your
I'm
deck.
going to put these cards away then.
Those are our top 5 tips on how to do well at your next pre-release. Pre-release is one of my favourite formats. Even though I've been playing Magic for ages, it's just a really good chance to get my hands on the new set, and I think it's a really good place to start for new Magic players.
So I should stop browsing for days in advance all of the spoilers online and preparing my advanced deck strategy before the pre-release?
No, you shouldn't. You need to do that.
Oh.
I just walk in and win, so...
Thank you for joining us for another Board Game Sanctuary video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again in the near future. See you. Oh, Pete, do you want to play Commander?
Sure.